All right, so welcome everyone to the HPT weekly webinar, right? We're going to break into the week ending 8/30/2024. It's a really good week. I took 10 trades this week. I had 7 wins, I had 3 L's, and I'm super pumped to go through this week. This was actually one of my better weeks in the month of August. Actually, it was my best week in the month of August. Uh, and I'm really interested. I'm really pumped to dive into it today. We've been trading in this range. It's definitely been a. Hold on one second. Turn this up here. It's definitely been challenging. I feel like my patience has been like tested a lot this week. Tuesday was definitely a tough day for me. I took 2 losing trades on Tuesday. I literally had to walk away from the market and step back. Right. So it's definitely been a week that was challenging. Right. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, this is my first red week in August. I had a fantastic August up until this week, and it's some trades I took that were just like I'm not happy with. Others were okay, but it's just I guess I just had a phenomenal month,
Yeah.
and
It
I'm not gonna say
happens,
things fell apart.
bro. It
Yeah, but it's
happens.
just like if I had just stopped trading after Monday and just walked away and said I had a great week, I'm gonna go do something else this week, I would have been actually way better off.
Well, and one thing I noticed this week is I had some massive wins, dude. Like literally Thursday, like a 1,700% ROI on this trade, right? Like complete
Disgusting.
disgusting on Wednesday, 300% ROI on this short play. Monday, another 300% ROI on this day. So like a big part, a big reason why this week was really good for me was literally these 3 trades. Right. Well, this Friday I ended up having a really good trade too. But like what I really want to point out this week was risk reward was on point because the 3 L's I took, right? I took 2 L's Tuesday, an L on Friday. Like I kept those high and tight, and I think that's like one thing I really want to talk about in this meeting is like how important that really is. Like this day, I literally this day right here was a $500 hit for me. Right, I lost almost $500 this
I
day.
think you need to share.
Oh, I'm not. Oh,
You
okay,
need to share your screen.
okay. I shared it on Vimeo. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Thanks, Darren. Do this. Boom. There we go. All right. Yeah. So
Got it.
there we go. Yeah. So Thursday, Wednesday, right? Hitter, hitter, hitter. Tuesday, these 2 right here, bro. Like I was just got caught in this chop nasty, right? Like we went to short the market down, got caught, switched the position, went long, got caught, right? And I was like, okay, I'm stepping away, right? But like, the importance of that risk reward is it's just it's so crazy, right? Like I know we talk about it all the time, but like risk reward is our superpower. It's our superpower. Like literally, it's literally what makes consistency possible. But I'm gonna dive right into Monday, and we'll kick right off. Monday, I took a trade off open print, right? And really good criteria right here. And this is the importance of having that criteria where when you see it, you just have to act, right? And that's something I've been working on, right? Because at times we overthink this game so much. I know I'm like a big time overthinker, right? So like going into Monday, we had end of day. Where was it? At 56213, right? We had end of day right there. We were rejecting the top of that range that we were talking about, right? So, if we failed above PDH, which lined up with open print perfectly, I mean, look at that. That's disgusting. It literally aligned perfect. So, like, if I seen any weakness at open print using the 50, using market structure, I was going to short the market, right? That was my bearish scenario, and we ended up falling below OP, we came up, we retested open print right there. So that right there was my criteria. I was entering short into the market, targeting end of day, and then below. And I caught a really nice move down here to, is it 561, right around 56160 here, where we got extended from the cloud, and I ended up locking in the position. Right, so that was a really good start to the week. I felt really good about that entry and the criteria I went like that I used to get in it. I want to show you too here on the 2 minute. What it looked like, right? Classic, like in this trade took a lot of it took a lot of faith, because look at the wicks we were getting, right? It was like, I remember this vividly, right? I ended up getting in short on this wick, or this candle, right? And the main reason I got in on this 954 candle is because it wiped out the bottom of this candle, right? Like, and it takes like a degree, for me at least, it takes a degree of like, okay, like I can't control what happens. I could, I could wait for the candle to close. I could do this. I could do that, right? Like there's always a better entry, right? It's basically what I'm getting at. So like, in my mind, I was like, if buyers lose that level, and I get that weakness, we close below the 50, we knock out the bottom of this, I'm gonna enter, and I have a valid stop, right? My stop was like 30 cents away, 40 cents away. That was good for me. And then we got that really nice push down, and then I took profits initially at EOD, and then got completely out of my position on this candle right here, because we whipped up past the top of that. So I felt really good about it, right? I didn't beat myself up for not capturing the whole move, right? Like none of that. I was like, dude, I'm just, I'm here to lock in my equation, etc. So this is my first trade on Monday. Guys, feel free to dive into what you guys did. Oh, well, here, ready? Let me just do my last one right here. So then I ended up entering the market short later in the day here. And this is where I want to talk about the 1 hour time frame, right? Because this was really pivotal for me, right? If I whip out SBX and I whip out the 1 hour, which date was this? This was 8/26, right? So 8/26. Oh wait, was it not SBX? Hold on. SPY. 8/26. Yes. Okay. So if you see here on the 1 hour time frame, right? We've disrespected, sellers disrespected PDH, right? You guys can see PDH was a massive supply zone right here, right? So buyers disrespected PDH on this candle right here, this 10 o'clock 1 hour. It's telling me a lot. It's telling me I closed below the cloud, I closed below the 9D EMA, right? So at this point, like for me to go long, I need to like there's like a 95% chance of me not longing the market until we get back above that 9. Right, so what I'll do, right, because I captured that morning move, right. So now, like right here, I'm in sideline mode. I'm not doing anything. I'm in ultra chill mode, and I accept that immediately. I go, I won't long the market. It's against my rules. I've longed against the 1 hour 9 DEMA, and it always results in, it's a high probability losing trade for me. So I just won't do it. So what I'll do instead, right, I'll take that data and I'll go, okay, well, if you lose 90% of the time longing against the 9, why don't you just wait for the retest of the 9 and then capture the short? You make way more money trading SPX on these trades anyways, because they're later in the day. Is it worth to wait, right? Right? That's how I see it. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait. So what I'll do is once price comes back up to the 50, I use the 50 as my guideline. And I go, okay, how many times, and this was the trade right here, Darren, this trade used to cost me so much money, right? Because we're back above the 50. We're touching the green cloud, right? I'm like, dude, this is long criteria. But that 1 hour, I'm like, this is where all my losing trades come from. So I'm just going to be patient and see if buyers lose this. And for me, this takes a lot of acceptance where I could miss this trade. Like buyers could show up here. Nothing's guaranteed. Like, and it doesn't matter if I miss it, I miss it, right? Like it is what it is. And then when this happens, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Um, now that buyers lost this, I'm like, okay, where's my short entry at? And then that's when I'll whip out that 2 minute and catch that GBI, and then I'll enter the market short there, targeting the lows. Where was it? Right here. Look at this one. This GBI has helped me so much too, by the way. Like this right here is my one of my main entry criterias, right? Once I get this little guy, right, where and notice we're not getting it here, right? We're not getting it here, right? You need that drop, you need that consolidate, and then boom. Once we wipe out the bottom of that, I'm in it short, and I'm targeting low of day, and I'm using the 2 minute cloud to ride down. So that was my second trade.
Do you feel like the retest of the hourly time frame works better for trades later in the day, or do you use it in the first like hour of the day as well?
Well, that's actually a
Because
really,
I
that's a
feel
really,
like I feel like it's a good way to capture trades later in the day, but basically using the hourly time frame prevented me from taking that short trade earlier in the day because I didn't want to I didn't want to short when we had a green
cloud,
hourly cloud. And
right?
if you look at that first hourly candle of the day,
Yeah,
first hourly candle closed at 10 o'clock.
this one. Yeah,
Oh, is that one that closed at 10 o'clock?
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that one closed at 10, and I didn't want to short into the green
And I,
cloud,
yeah.
because whatever, I just didn't.
And this is where like that 9 DEMA, right? Like, yeah, but to answer your initial question, I do. I feel like the hour time frame is very effective later in the day. That's not to say, obviously, we use the 1 hour for a lot of things, right? We use the 1 hour to identify the supply zone, right? Like the market context all together, right? And I think like what really helped me entering that in the morning was the fact that buyers were not showing strength. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I didn't initially like the 1 hour. What isn't like it doesn't have. It's not like it needs to be perfect for me to enter a trade, right? It's kind of like, okay, buyers aren't showing strength here, and I know the 50-50 perspective that I use is pretty much it's either going to rip up to the upside target or it's going to rip down to the downside. What is this telling me that can help me? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like that was kind of my perspective on that morning setup. But I do understand what you're saying, right? And that's where
Oh,
it gets touchy with the color of the cloud, right? Like last Friday, we shorted a green 1 hour cloud. You know what I'm saying? And it was literally a phenomenal short. So like, I definitely understand what you're getting at.
for me, none of the rules that we have in trading, you can apply them every
No,
single
you
time
can't.
and they're going to work.
Yeah,
You have to be able to sometimes be like, okay, I'm going to short this green cloud because I see this and this and this.
yeah,
I basically see enough criteria,
yeah.
and that's not one of my hard and fast rules. Like 30% loss, that's a hard and fast rule. That I'm going to stick to.
Correct.
But I'm talking about like understanding structure, that type of stuff.
Yes.
You have to be willing to, I
Adapt.
guess, bend your rules.
Adapt.
Maybe that's not a good way of saying it,
Adapt.
but adapt your analysis.
Yes.
And so I think that's what I could have done better on Monday. Instead of letting this one thing prevent you from taking a trade,
Yeah.
ask yourself, okay, is this a good time to bend my criteria a little bit and at least put on risk here?
And one of the things I like to do is like what's my criteria serves me how, right? What is my criteria even meant for? It's to help me understand the conditions of the market, right? My criteria serves one purpose, for me to be able to pull triggers based on certain set of criteria that helps me to do what? Understand who is taking control and where this thing's headed. That's the reason of criteria. So if I have such a strict set of criteria where I can't short a green cloud, right? That's going to prevent me of being able to, see, especially on the 1 hour, right? The 1 hour, we all know it takes 1 hour to close. There's a lot that can happen in 1 hour, right? And that's why, going back to what you said about later in the day, I think it's very effective later in the day, right? Because most of the conditions have already been established, right? So like, later in the day, it's the more the picture's painted, right? So obviously, a retest of the 9 or the cloud later in the day is definitely, super effective. But yeah, in the morning, that first 9 o'clock candle, dude, that's where all the, wild rip into levels, and especially in these conditions, right, where like, we're trying to break out above the supply zone, we can't make it. That's really good though that you dove that into that like that, Darren. That's a big win right there, bro. 100%. In that 50-50 perspective, like later in the day, right? That thing ended up coming right back up into the cloud, um, and then rejected, right? So, so that was Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday. I was not happy with the way I traded Tuesday. Um, Initially, not so much the 2 losing trades I took, but the fact that I did not long the morning, right? So if you see here, there's previous day low, end of day is like right here. I mean, dude, this was perfect. This was perfect long criteria. There was no reason for me not to long this. I mean, look at this retest off open print. I think the reason why I didn't long this was because that we were getting a lot of wicks. Well, oh, that's why. The 1 hour, right? It's crazy, Darren. I literally did the same thing. The 1 hour was below the 9.
Damn it.
Yeah, it literally did the same exact thing that you did. And this is some things, right, that happen, right? Obviously, we're working on a lot of stuff. But like the 1 hour, we're below the 9, we're below the cloud, and I let that keep me from trading one of my most prized setups, which is the break and retest off open print, right? I mean, look at that. There's open print. We're above the 50, green cloud. Another thing I didn't like was all these wicks. I didn't like all these wicks, and that's another thing I want to point out. In these market conditions, one of these 5-minute candles will stomp you out. It will. Like literally, if you abide by a stop, even if it's 40%, one of these is gonna stomp you out. Like these are literally, the swing on this candle is, what is this? 62 cents. I mean, maybe it won't stop you out, but it's these were real. These were, I mean, my stop's at 50 cents. So yeah, that's stomping you out. I think that was a big reason why I didn't get in this. One thing I want to point out though is notice how right here sellers are trying to control PDL. This is why I was kind of frustrated with myself. Sellers couldn't control previous day low, and then buyers took it, right? I want to get to the point where once I identify weakness here at PDL, there's no reason not to get in longs with appropriate risk, right? Like, and that's something I want to start playing around with, right? Like, obviously, don't just long the breakout here above PDL, but use the fact that, I mean, look how extended we were from the 9 DEMA too. When this was red, we were literally almost $2 away from the 9, right? The snapback is in full effect. Anything over $1.50, the snapback is definitely in full effect. So, like, I could have used that information to maybe get in long a little earlier, maybe on this candle. But yeah, I did not long any of this, and then end of day was perfect. Red bar ignored. I mean, this was definitely. I think Rishi took this trade. It was phenomenal. It was a really good trade, bro. I didn't though. I did not trade any of that. And then I got chopped up, right? I got chopped up. Price fell below the 50. I went short on this candle. Where was it? I shorted this candle right here. This candle. I shorted this candle right here. Got stomped out of my trade, right? And I kind of let that, right? Because it was really good short criteria. If we go back and look at it, I mean, could it have been better? Sure, right? But initially we dropped below the 50. close below it. We come up, we retest the 50. Notice how far away the cloud is. That probably would have served me to be a little more patient. Um, but took the market short and then ended up getting stopped out of my trade for about $250 loss, which is appropriate on SPX, right? So I wasn't beating myself up. And then we closed back above the 50, and I'm thinking, okie doke. I remember looking at the 1 hour cloud or the time frame, and I'm like, dude, we literally closed above the 9. I'm gonna get in this long, and target the highs. And then this candle fucking just swept me, bro. And I was like, dude, you are the biggest dude. And I was like, yo, and that's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just part of the game. Was I mad at the market? No. Was I mad at myself? No. I would not ever have hold through this. The contracts I bought, literally drawdown was like 50%. I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? That's just not my game. I didn't beat myself up. Instead, I walked away from the market, took the L, and then later, dude, look at the rally. Right? Like, just straight rally into the highs. Would have been perfect, but it wasn't. But I was proud of the way I took this one on the chin, right? I really was. After missing the morning, I was a bit frustrated. Went for it, got spanked, and lived to fight another day. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we can't control if there's going to be pullbacks or,
No.
If the market's just going to continually rip. It's just...
Yeah. We don't know.
We can't control that.
And it's okay. Like... 1 second, guys. We can't. And more importantly, though, Debo, I used this day as a day to prove to myself that I can execute properly. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I took like a $470 loss this day. But I learned that in all conditions, I execute properly, right? Like, that 50 makes us a lot of money, right? Like, that 50 makes me a lot of money, right? Like, I do well. My results come from using that 50, using this criteria. I think you even wrote in the Discord, I was like, oh, after this green candle, I was like, I don't like them buyers. You're like, regardless, that was a fire. Like, that was a great trade. You know what I mean? Like, it was all there, right? So I use days like this to be like, okay, yeah, you took an L, but how was your performance, right? Like, and I was proud of it. All right, I was like, dude, it definitely wasn't bad. Honestly, this long, I could have done better. I let this one green candle cause me to get in. I definitely could have been maybe a little more patient on that. But overall, it is what it is. Took it on the chin. On to the next. Wednesday, right? Wednesday was another morning that I did not trade the price action was just erratic. It was extremely wild around the open. No clear market structure. It's one of my criteria. So if it's not there, I don't trade. Market started to sell off pretty violently, and once again, I'm just watching it. Right? I'm like, dude, all good. Not a big deal. Like, it is what it is. Previous day low was all the way down here. So obviously, in my mind, I'm like, dude, you should get in this somehow, some way. But I just couldn't find a good entry, right? Like, and so I didn't trade. No trades. Didn't find anything here in the morning either. I didn't want it long because of how extended we were from the 1 hour. Once again, right? Like, this has been, I'm like a broken record with this, but on this candle, right? You can see here, we are very Hold on. 28, yeah, we're very extended here, right? Like, very extended. I can't get in it. Candle closed down here, right? Don't want to get in it. And then we start playing around with previous day low, and the same exact concept that I was just telling you, right? Like, this is, conditions are very bearish. We're coming up and we're retesting PDL. This is what it looked like on the 1 hour, right? It looked just like this. Oh, that's why I didn't want to short it either. The 1 hour 50 was right there, and I did not want to short into it, right? Really didn't want to short into the 1 hour 50. So now we're coming up, we're retesting it, and buyers lose it, right? This red candle right here is telling me, right, that buyers are trying, and they just lost it. And I was like, I'm gonna use the critical level here to really paint a picture. I'm like, if what the next couple candles look like is gonna tell me everything. So we come up and we retest, and I end up taking the market short on this candle. And initially I'm like, oh man, I don't know how I feel about that. It wasn't a really good retest of the cloud, and you can see we're not really hugging the EMA cloud either. So I'm like, okay, where's my stop, right? I get in around 558. My stop is right here at this, right at previous day low, right around it. And market sucks up, and Darren, I was literally $20 on my SPX contracts and getting stopped out, which is $2 on a SPY contract. So like within literally probably 5 cents away of getting stomped out on this trade. And then this red candle comes in and wipes out the previous one. And this is like, I remember we were talking last week about holding on to like drawdown, right? Like, at what point, is like, too much, right? Or whatever. And this was one of those scenarios where I really didn't want to get out of the market until it proved me wrong, right? And like, obviously I'm not going to let that smoke my whole account. But I'm not gonna let this get me until I know conditions really shifted. And sellers came in, we wiped out the previous green, and once I seen this, this red bar smoking the one in front of it and closing below it really gave me the confidence to hold this trade as long as I did, right? Because how many times are you in a trade and you're down, let's just say you're down, I don't know, I think I was down almost like $200 on my contract, and I'm like, oh man, and now at this point you're up 200, right? Like, we'll just say on this candle. So like, how many times have we like been in drawdown, get our money back, and just get out and thank God, right? Like, I really didn't want to do that, right? I don't like doing that because in terms of consistent results, that's not going to get you across the finish line. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to let my winners pay me, right? And that's one thing I really proved to myself this week that I was able to do, is like I really allowed my winners to actually pay me and to trade to the according level, right? So initially I took this down to the low, and then I let this fall out, and the bottom fell out, and I caught a beautiful trade down here, and it literally tagged that daily time frame level at 555 perfectly. So I was really proud of that trade there on Wednesday.
That's a great trade. I get why you wouldn't trade in the morning, because
Yeah.
I think this was when Jerome Powell was speaking at Jackson Hole,
Yes,
which is like
thank
a
you.
big
Yeah.
FOMC event, and that's why I didn't trade the open, and that's why we saw the shitty price action that we did.
Yeah, that was garbage.
Whatever. Yeah, that might look like a nice sell-off. That might look like a nice break of pre-market low.
Yeah.
But when I go back and journal that entry, that open of this day, I don't want myself to be taking trades while Jerome Powell speaking.
Correct.
So I'm not going to spend a lot of time analyzing, oh, the candle's formed in this way, and I would have got in here. It's just like, no, I don't want to deal with price action while Powell is speaking. So I'm going to wait until the market levels off, and then right where you caught this perfect entry and using the hourly time frame, I think you were very patient this day, and that's exactly how I want to handle this.
Yeah.
So I didn't take any trades this day at all. I just didn't trade.
Yeah. And then that snapback, and then price drops all the way to 555, and I was like, dude, I should long this back up. And that's something else I'm playing with. I'm not doing trades like that yet. I'm doing some back testing and stuff like that. Because if it's a high probability setup, right? Like, does it hurt, right? Or, what sort of effect will that have on my mental game? You know what I'm saying? I'm playing around with a lot of stuff like that, but it was really cool to see that snapback right there off. Like, if you have a critical level and you're extended from the 9, there's a really, really high chance that it's going to snap back, right? So it was cool to see that. Yeah, that was Wednesday. Super proud of the patients there. And then Thursday. Thursday, really cool day. Large gap up in price.